Relating to the trust, right? You mentioned that there's a need for a minimum of 3 members, and you said you could perhaps have a husband and a wife and an additional person. So I just want to find out, is it possible to have a child, your own child, to be part of the trust, the people of the trust, over 18, right? And also as a follow-up question, if that is possible, is there a case where that thing can be manipulated, where it's a family, they have their business and everything, and now they're putting everything under the trust? So, because you mentioned something about SARS looking at people who actually have a trust on their own and they're doing all these things, putting it in a trust. So can the system be manipulated where a husband and a wife and an older child create a trust and they're trying to secure everything and getting the benefits that one could get from a trust? Thanks.
Thank you for it. A member of the trust should be independent family members to be on. You can certainly have your son or daughter, if they're over 18, to be a trustee. And one thing I forgot to say, trustees can also be beneficiaries, of course. So parents can administer the trust and they and the children are beneficiaries. But if it's only husband and wife and their child, there's no independence in the trust. So that gives SARS the opportunity to pierce the corporate veil and declare it to be not bona fide. It's evading your tax obligations. So you have to be very careful. They want either an attorney, an accountant, or an outside member, financial planner, broker, financial advisor, anything like that.
Sorry, Mr. Strauss, just a follow-up question.
Yes.
In the event
Let me add to that before you ask another question. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Oh, fantastic. So when we actually setting up our trust, myself and my wife, we would have actually added one of our children also, but we look for someone who is very neutral and who we know we can actually speak to every time. And that is where, as a trustee.
And trust.
And that I trust. Yeah. So that was how we actually had to go for my brother. Not the same surname, because we grew up together and he willingly signed. And to set up a trust, what people don't know is that trust is never expensive. It's because you don't have the right information. Now, what does trust do for you? When you have a business, put it under the trust. Any property, anything you have, put it under the trust. So that when anything happens to you, yourself, your family member, when anybody comes for you, they can't find anything in your name. It's under the trust. How did we do it? We have varieties of businesses. For example, in South Africa, and we put those business under the trust. We register a trust as a shareholding. And some property we bought, they're already under a trust. Now this is how it gets very intriguing. So we had to play safe. Because now when they know you operate a trust, SARS, they stay aloof. Because sometimes when they're doing the IRP 5, you find out that you have to pay a lot of taxes to them back. They tell you your employees or your employer, they not actually, they didn't pay, they didn't deduct what they're going to deduct. And you're like, even as the self-owner of a business, if that business is under a trust, you're very safe. But people don't know. So many millionaires in South Africa, they become bankruptcy for SARS. I have a friend, last year, SARS gave him 1.8 million rand to pay. He works he has a mining license and they supply trucks and all the likes. Now, they were paying taxes, but the expert who was issuing the taxes, the accounting or what, I don't know what happened, but I found out that person's calculation was quite different. Now, people don't even know that your rents, if you have a business, it can even go under your company. Your rent you pay and you have that. Because they don't expect you to run a business on the streets. The bills, the lights, the what, most of those stuff can go under the company, but you have to be wise. Now, when that money goes from the company to the business, to that third party, it's fine because the trust will save you. So these are some sciences that most of us don't know, and I'm happy that that question came up, and there's a lot to it. And I'm happy if you want to be able to speak to STDB. They're number one in Africa in terms of trust setup, Anthony's, and so on and so forth. For example, people like us, we have properties in different countries. We have to put everything under the trust. When you come for me tomorrow, maybe one lady rises up to say, hey, something, blah, blah, blah. You can't find anything in my name. I don't own anything. The gate will tell you that it's not the owner of the company. And this is what the rich do. Jeff Bezos will tell you that. Even Elon Musk will tell you the same thing. Thank you.
Thank you, Doctor. I heard you mention that some people are not aware of the cost implications that are associated with trust. Can you perhaps maybe give us maybe some sort of indication or rough estimate? And further to that question,
I was chatting with Sulu. We were talking about this very thing. Look, setting up a trust is not outrageously expensive. It's in the region of 8,000 to 10,000 rand.
Yes.
And that's a one-off fee to set it up. Depending on the complexity, the accountants involved, each one's going to charge while you set it up. You have to have an accountant. The donor sets the trust up, opens a bank account. You need the consent of an accounting officer, and you've got to put money into the account, and it's traditionally 100 rand, that's nothing. It's just a token amount to open the account. The one drawback we were talking with Sophie is the tax rate.
Yes.
It's 45%.
Which is quite
which
steep.
is very high.
Yes.
But some people agree and are happy to pay that for the security of knowing that their assets cannot be touched.
Yes.
It's like an insurance policy. And the other thing is, if you're running businesses as well, there are clients we have that have different trusts. They've got properties in one trust. There's no risk of, or very minimal risk of a property trust going insolvent. But other people run businesses, and they have the businesses in a separate trust, so that should the business go insolvent, they can't touch the property. It's a separate trust.
Yeah.
And you also have trusts which own companies, and companies which that same company owns a close corporation. And so you have a holding trust with multiple subsidiaries.
Yes.
And the very wealthy structure their assets. I have a client who's got 32 trusts, owning 32 income-producing properties, each one a separate trust. And he says, if I want to get rid of a property, I just sell the trust if need be, or sell it out of the trust and the rest carry on with minimal disruption.
Yeah. In the event where an executor has been elected to be in control of the trust, and they are not really doing their duties, can the beneficiaries re-elect? Or what are the implications, or if I can put it this way, what can be modified or revoked in the trust?
Absolutely. If a trustee is not performing their duty correctly, you apply to, if they won't recuse themselves and resign by consent, and so you end up with a dispute, you apply to the master to have them removed, and you would put up an affidavit setting out there's a dereliction of duty, they're being obnoxious, obstreperous, obstructive, and they are not suitable to be trustees. And the master has the power to remove them. So you would try and mediate and do it by consent. That's first prize. But if that doesn't happen, then you apply to the master for the removal of a trustee. And then trustees are automatically removed if they are guilty of a criminal offence or become insolvent.
Yeah.
So there are checks and balances.
Which requires either
And this is why they say trust.
Yes.
Not untrust. You get it? Because you trust the people.
Yes, Mr.
Okay.
Mr. Nari.
I would like to actually jump into the weapon of trust. So, Douglas, I actually want to know, and I'm looking further down the line, in terms of estate treaty, right? I created trust, and unfortunately, as is life, I pass on. So would you recommend that my life actually pays into the trust to assist the beneficiaries when I pass on and there's estate duty that needs to be paid?
So if you saw with an insurance policy, life cover, you nominate a beneficiary and it's automatically excluded from the estate. You know what you would need accounting advice.
Yes.
That's not so much a legal question, it's more an accounting question in terms of the structure of your assets. Okay. Pleasure.
I can clarify something there, because the estate duty is only charged when it is a person. If you leave your property to your spouse, then if the value of that property is above 3.5 million rand, then it's dutiable. But if it's in the trust, it's not in the person's name, so it's not dutiable at all.
So it will just pass without any tax.
It is just the trust.
The trust is simply continues.
It's owned by the trust, so nobody is going to be charged any estate duty in that instance.
Thank you very much.
It's like the other, the other side of the coin is where you have got children that you want to set up in life to start their own businesses. Instead of them going to the bank to get loans to start businesses, they get loans from the trust. That is where now you would secure those loans by their own life covers. So that should they pass on, that life cover pays the debts. That way you are able to pass this wealth, to the next generation and the next generation.
Why don't we have such lessons during for our children, like in life orientation? I think it'd be so much beneficial for them to have such sessions, especially about finance. There's another question before
So, for financial literacy for kids, community will normally organize something like that. The last time we held Global One Summit last year in Emperor Palace in Johannesburg, there were some family that came together and they said they want to have financial literacy for the entire family. Like, can we do a destination holiday of numbers of families? Because everything we're all doing here is financial literacy. It's all about numbers. Men lies, women lies, but numbers does not lie. Women can lie, men can lie. But the number you give to the accountant, it can never lie because it reports. This is why financial literacy is very important.
Yes.
And as part of this community, what we tell people, if you have a set of group of people, family, friends, or groups, just let us know. Or perhaps you can drop me an email. We'll organize that, but it comes at a fee from the community.
Yes.
You understand? So we are open to that. And this is part of what we do. If you look at the banners there, there's a lot of things we do in the community. A lot of things like that. And it doesn't even end there. It's built up. There will be a time that you have some money that you can now open what I call family bank or what I call private bank. In different countries, they call it different names. You must have ascertained, in South Africa, they call it RMB. If you have money up until, I think, maybe 5 million and above. But in dollars, if you want to have a private bank in dollars, you've got to have, I think, $5 million in South Africa. And it's possible. And if you sit down, you see that those money are just numbers.
Yeah.
But it needs the right orientation. So this is what we are open for. If you have a group of people, or as a person, as a company, friends or family, you want to have something like this, we're happy to coach you guys on that from the Zillionaire community. And it's going to come very cheap.
Oh, that's a good thing to hear that. I'm really excited about that. Thank you.
Sorry. Oh, sorry. As you continue, we just have over like 5 minutes. Yes.
Thank you.
Sorry.
It's so interesting.
And we have Sir Richard as well online.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Just a quick one for me.
Yeah.
Still on the question of trust. You say you can put a business under trust. Now, let's say the business is looking for finance, is applying to the bank for finance, and the bank is asking for collateral. Is not the trust going to be blocking, block the bank from issuing finance if it's not going to be, if in case the company is liquidated, I mean, the bank may not have access to the assets which are under the trust.
The banks offer trustees as a guarantee in respect of the trust, so that if the trust itself doesn't meet its obligations, they would then proceed against the trustees in their personal capacity. And that also happens if a company applies for a loan. Vikesh will be familiar with that. They're always, or nearly always, depending on the security of the asset that they hold, they nearly always ask for a personal surety from the directors. So it's not necessarily as easy as just hiding everything in the trust, but the trust offers a vehicle that gives you much more security in the event of a problem.
Just one more question. Go ahead.
I have a question for Mr. Novende. About taking an asset